As an engineer, what I found was that engineers felt that they were left out of the conversation of spirituality, and because the language made no sense to an engineer. And I wrote a little book, it was a workbook called Awakening to Zero Point, in engineering terms to describe what's happening, what I saw happening in the late 1980s. And it caught on and was Xerox copied and ended up becoming its own book and its own phenomenon. And it described what we knew then. And for the most part, it's pretty accurate. There's some things that have changed. The bottom line was that within the changes that we are all feeling in our lives, as we look for reasons, say, what in the world is going on? You know, what's happening with the weather? What's happening? It seems like everybody's going to war. What's happening with my body? I don't sleep the way I used to. Or, my relationships have gotten really intense. As different as those all seem from one another, they're all related. And what we know is that technically, and when I was a geologist, I could see this happening. The magnetic field of the Earth is in decline. It has been for the last 2,000 years. It looks like a chart on the New York Stock Exchange on a bad day. It started declining. It's never gone back. So we're at the lowest point in planetary magnetics now that we have been in the last 2,000 years. We have seen Earth have this experience in the geologic record. We've seen this happen at least 14 times in the last 4.5 million years. And every time it happens, it precedes a flip, a 180-degree reversal of the magnetic field. So they get weaker and weaker. The magnetic fields decline. They get weaker and weaker and weaker until they drop to zero for a period of a few days, it looks like. Then the field reverses, and what used to be North Pole is South, South Pole becomes North, and the fields begin to get stronger and stronger and stronger. The last time this happened looked like it was around maybe 9 to 11,000 years ago. At that time, we saw the melting of the last ice age. A lot of people believe Atlantis was here during that time, and as the ice melted, oceans rose, and that's why we don't see the continent of Atlantis anymore. There's a whole program we could do on that. We know that those fields are declining. We know that's a fact. The scientists have believed that it's linear, that you can know where it was 50 years ago and know where it is today and draw a straight line and say this is where it's going to be. Based on that, they say it's about another 2,000 years before we go into a zero reversal. We know, however, that it is not linear. It's what's called a geometric decline, and what that means is that as the field declines, it declines quickly. Ancient calendars point to our time in history, the Mayan calendar, the Egyptian calendar, native oral traditions, both in North, South America, the Tibetan traditions. They all say that something is happening at our time in history, and this is when time as we know it changes, and that the Earth as we know it changes. So scientists only within the last couple of years, mainstream publications have now admitted, they say, yes, we are in the early stages of a magnetic reversal. We don't know what that means. What we do know is that we're linked to those fields. Our emotions, our sleep patterns, our perceptions of time and space, how we feel about our relationships, our immune response, all those things are linked to the magnetic fields of the Earth, as well as the weather patterns. And this is something a lot of people aren't talking about. So the decrease of the magnetics is what is driving the weather patterns and the shifts that we're seeing right now, including global warming and those kinds of things. So we know those are happening, and they are giving us an opportunity. I think they're giving us an opportunity to know ourselves in the presence of conditions that are unlike what we've lived in the past. And what that means is it's an opportunity for us to demonstrate our mastery of who we really are in this universe, in this reality. Because in that mastery, those changes come much easier to us. It's in our resistance to our mastery, those changes are tough. So when we feel that we're limited beings, and that our health is so very fragile, and that the way that we live is so fragile. It is in some respects. In other respects, it's a direct mirror of what's happening inside of our bodies. So that was one parameter, the magnetics. Second was there's the fundamental heartbeat of the Earth the ancients talked about. The scientists first detected this in 1899. It's measured a number of different ways, but the bottom line is we know that that fundamental heartbeat is speeding up. And we all know that because everyone says time is speeding up. Every country I've been to, people say it seems like time is speeding up. Why is that? Every cell in our body is in resonance, trying to keep time with the heartbeat of our Mother Earth. And as that heartbeat increases, our cells are trying to metabolize and maintain their existence and match that increase, and we perceive that change as time speeding up. So to us, it feels like things are going faster because they are in that respect. Those two parameters together are physical parameters that can be measured that tell us where we are at this time in history. And all I can say right now is we've got very low magnetics, and the pulse of the planet is twice what it was in the mid-1980s. And we're not sure where that's going to go. But I also have to say, I know people who spend all of their time preparing for the moment that the world changes, whether it's burying boxcars of food in their backyard or building a shelter, that will protect them from whatever. And if people feel good about that, I think it's probably a good thing to do. My experience is, if you spend your life preparing for all the bad things, you miss life. And by living the life that crosses our paths and honoring those changes, when the frightening things happen to us, honor that fear and go through what the ancient traditions suggest we go through to transcend that fear. And as we do that, it changes our bodies, and in that change, we've already prepared for whatever the Earth is going to bring. Because as we change our beliefs, we are tuning our bodies to that pulse of the Earth and to those magnetics. So rather than resist those things, the changes in the Earth and the changes in our lives are the same, rather than separate, as some people would like to keep them separate. It's easier to think